In a small village nestled between rolling hills and dense forests, life moved at the gentle pace of the seasons. The villagers knew one another's names, stories, and secrets, bound together by tradition and shared history. Among them lived two sisters, Lila and Mara, whose names were whispered more often than spoken aloud. The sisters were known not for their kindness or their skills, but for their faces. Faces the villagers deemed too unfortunate to look upon for long. Children threw pebbles at their feet, women crossed the street to avoid them, and men laughed behind their hands. The sisters had learned to move through the world like shadows, their presence tolerated, but never welcomed. Lila, the elder, found solace in the quiet hours before dawn. Every morning, she would slip out of their crumbling cottage and walk to the edge of the forest, where a single wild apple tree grew. She would place her palm against its bark, whispering secrets the tree would never repeat. This was her first ritual, a moment of peace before the world woke to remind her of her place in it. Mara, the younger, had her own way of coping. She would kneel by the creek, cupping the cold water in her hands, watching her reflection shiver and distort. "Maybe today," she would murmur. "Maybe today it won't be so bad." But it always was. Their third ritual belonged to both of them. At sunset, they would sit on their rickety porch, weaving baskets from river reeds. The baskets were beautiful, though no one ever praised them. The sisters sold them in silence at the market, their heads bowed, their words few. One evening, as Lila placed the last woven basket into their cart, she noticed something strange. A single red thread, vibrant against the dull brown reeds, was woven into the pattern. She frowned, running her fingers over it. She hadn't used any red thread. Mara shook her head. She hadn't either. The sisters glanced at each other, a flicker of unease passing between them. It was a small thing, barely worth noticing, but for the first time in years, something in their world had changed without warning. Meanwhile, in the heart of the village, the butcher's son, Henrik, lounged against his father's stall, grinning as a group of children chased a stray dog. He was handsome in a way that made people forgive his cruelty, his laughter loud enough to drown out the dog's whimpers. His days were a cycle of small torments, mocking the weak, charming the gullible, and ensuring everyone knew his place was above theirs. His rituals were simpler. A sneer at the sisters whenever they passed, a kick to the stray animals no one cared for, and a toast every night to his own cleverness. But that evening, as he raised his glass, a splinter of wood from the table pricked his finger. He swore, sucking the blood, and didn't notice the drop that fell into his drink. By morning, he would forget it entirely. The village slept, unaware that the threads of their lives had begun to unravel. The red thread in Lila and Mara's basket was just the beginning. The next morning, as Lila walked to her apple tree, she found its branches heavy with fruit, unusual for this time of year. The apples were a deep, unnatural crimson, their skins gleaming like wet paint. She reached out, hesitating, before plucking one. It was warm in her palm, as if alive.